What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be reviewing that insane game against Hawthorn. So let's run that intro, jump straight into it. Just before we do jump straight into it, of course, a couple of formalities. Follow me on Twitch, Swoop Luke. I'll be streaming a bunch with my new Collingwood/Grimsby Town series. You can check the previous videos for a trailer. Instagram, Swoop Luke, posting daily. Always up to talk to you guys on there. And TikTok while it lasts, Swoop Luke. Anyway, let's jump straight into this game. So after two pretty bad losses to the Giants and Essendon and a whole week of controversy since that Essendon game, we're still with the Steele stuff, still, with that Jordan De Goey assault case. We were really, it was kind of a line in the sand moment this game. We could have just rolled over, let the Hawks kind of just overtake us, or we could enter this hub life with a new lease on life and kind of get our season back on track. And that's exactly what we did from the get-go. We played really good footy. The game was pretty much over by half-time, and Hawthorn just absolutely didn't look like they were coming back. There were a couple of changes going into that game that were a little bit surprising. Atu Bozanovalagi gets his debut, Will Kelly gets his debut, and Quaynor comes back into that team. Tyler Brown gets omitted, Josh Dacos comes out, and of course, Jordan De Goey wasn't playing. But that seemed like the spark that we needed. Will Kelly provided a good target up front until he unfortunately got injured. Atu was absolutely everywhere, and he pretty much, I can't see him coming out of that team with what he brought. 16 possessions and just tackling, and he just provided some run, provided some bounce. And Quaynor, God, you guys know that I love Quaynor, and seeing him back in that team, off that half-back line, that dash out of half-back is something we've been missing since Leon Davis was there and since Heredia Lumumba was playing off that half-back line as well. And I think Quaynor is just, you'd hate to say it so early, but without jinxing it, but I think he has cemented his spot in that 22 because I just can't see anyone being as good as he was off that half-back line, taking his spot. In saying that as well, without De Goey, we saw Jamie Elliott play predominantly in the midfield, and I absolutely love that. Jaden Stevenson with a kind of a new role. He was playing not off the half-back line, but they were chucking him in deep into that back line. He's a good kick, can hit a target, so they were kind of using him out of that half-back line, but he did go forward and played in the middle at some points like that. Will Hoskin-Elliott back on the wing with Phillips on the wing as well, which is good. Phillips isn't a forward player, so I don't know why they were chucking him in there. And what I did like about this game was that we showed heart, we showed fight, but we didn't need the likes of Penbury to get 45 touches or Grundy to get 80 hitouts for us to win the clearances and for us to win the game, which is a testament to what we are as a team now. So my likes, I mentioned it before, Isaac Quaynor off that half-back line, he's just next level to me. How he hasn't got a game this season is just, I just can't fathom it, but he's only played 5 games and he looks every bit of a player that we knew he would be coming into this side and coming into this team when we did sign him in 2018. That run and dash off half-back is exactly what we've been calling out for, especially with Howe not there, probably for the rest of the season. I think that half-back person that takes his spot, kind of like that Shaz and now Quaynor, is just going to be so important to our chances going into the finals. And Quaynor just absolutely just epitomises everything that we want a half-back flanker to be. So props to him, had a stellar game last night. Adam Treloar, on his second game back, from that injury, he picked up in Wayne Garrett all the way at the start of the year. 35 disposals, 6 clearances, over 500 or so metres gained, and I think he went at about 65%, 68% disposal efficiency. That's coming off 30 disposals and 40% efficiency last week. He's only going to get better. 35 disposals or 36 disposals is the most or equal most this year with the shorter quarters and stuff. So imagine what he does with a full game. But I loved seeing him back in the trenches, with Adams, with Pendlebury. I think if he can keep his hamstrings on the bone, he's just going to project us further and further this season, and he's only going to get better. Remember, like I said, it's only his second game back, and he's already amassed 65 or 66 disposals in 2 games. It's just incredible. I didn't think I would say this, but Elliott as a midfielder is something that I absolutely love. I love it. He wasn't doing a lot in the forward line, only kicked a handful of goals, so they've moved into the midfield, without DeGoey playing that midfield forward. And I think it really worked. I think he had 4 clearances up until half time, which is amazing. And, he does push forward and kind of gives us that option as well. But as a midfielder, he's really smart. He did play midfield in the last couple of games, but I don't think with DeGoey there, it was working out as much as we would hope. But without DeGoey in that midfield, and obviously without Steele, I think it really shone yesterday. And, he's low to the ground, in and under. He can get those clearances, obviously. I really do enjoy him in the midfield. Yes, I like him in the forward line as well. But if he can get more midfield time and hit up DeGoey in the forward line, I think that would work better than seeing DeGoey predominantly in the middle. The thing that I liked the most was our defence. Keeping a Hawthorn side to 27 points. They kicked 3 goals for the entire match. Their lowest score under Alistair Clarkson. Okay, but Luke, shorter quarters, we shouldn't count it. But we scored 50 odd points. Other teams are scoring 80, 90 points. Hawthorn just didn't score. Like, they had it up there. They just didn't score. They just couldn't score. That was a testament to our defence. And we thought that without Howe would fall through a little bit. Yes, the Essendon game was a bit of a learning curve for us, but Shaz only got better in the Essendon game and yesterday. Darcy Moore is just phenomenal, a phenomenal player. I'd be chucking 1.2 million a season at him if I could, just to keep him there. So our defence is just impeccable this season. Still, a team hasn't scored over 66 points against us in the last dozen games, so that is just fantastic, and I know you guys love it as well. Dislike. So there's not much to dislike about this performance. Obviously, I can nitpick, but for right off the bat, Will Kelly injury. It's just, he had such a good debut. Clunkingham kicked the first goal with his first kick, and it's just so sad. They're saying it's a dislocated elbow. It's a 3-month healing period. Shorter games, or sorry, shorter season. And that's pretty much him done for the season, so we'll see him next year. And it's just really sad, like, smashing it in the practice games, smashed it for 3.5 quarters, and now, we won't see him for 3 months. And it's just, for such a young kid, it just absolutely sucks. By some miracle, we see him return, maybe, hopefully in 2 months' time, but I'm not really counting on it. But we saw what he can do, and we know what we will be getting in 2021. Another thing that I disliked, there were times where we were over handballing it, getting ourselves into trouble. Probably more throughout the first 2 quarters of the game. We kind of rectified that in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Didn't really cost us, obviously, because we won the game and they didn't really kick a lot of goals. But still, the decision making has to be a little bit quicker, and maybe just kick it down the line. And if it gets counted, at least we kind of can set up, instead of just all this handballing, around that centre and then turning it over, and then they've already got, from the centre to their forward, instead of kicking it 50 metres and then they've got to bring it back 100 metres as opposed to bringing it back 50 metres sort of thing. So this over handballing just needs a little bit of correction, but we did do it. Just needs to get a little bit better. The thing that I hated the most, hated, and is a constant throughout this season, we kicked 2 goals in the second half. We do all our work in the first half. It's kind of like the St Kilda game. Did all our work in the first half, then we're never going to come back, take the foot off the gas. We've got to put teams to the sword. This is going to be a season of percentages, and you could go through every single one of my reviews and I would be saying the same thing. It all comes down to putting teams to the sword when you have the opportunity. We kicked 8 goals 11, and we could have well and truly kicked 14 goals 5 or 14 goals 4, whatever the quick math is. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. But we could have put this game to rest more in that first half, and could have doubled, tripled our percentage. I think we should have been around the 80-90 point mark by game's end, and it's just this innate ability to not put teams to the sword, and Still missing easy goals and stuff like that. But, you know, that's something that we have to focus on, just that second half, because a better team will come back against you, like Essendon did, like the Giants did, and kind of like the and kind of like the Tigers did as well when footy restarted. Special mentions, of course, Brody Mychek, 4 goals, picked him up as a defender in the rookie draft 2018, and now he is a Coleman medalist at time of recording with 12 goals, and that's just phenomenal. He came to the club expecting his usual role where he won a premiership with Port Melbourne. He got thrown into the forward line because we needed him there, and he hasn't looked back. 77 or so goals in 2 seasons or something ridiculous like that. So good for him. And there's always a place in our forward line. One of the most underrated forwards in the competition at the moment. I think the game was won, obviously, in that first quarter with a 5-goal-to-1 performance, but it was won in different aspects of the ground, mainly our defense and our counter-attacking from defense, and that says a lot about, Quaynor playing in that half-back role, something that, obviously, I said it at the start of the video, something that we have been lacking, and what he brings to the club, instead of that, we rarely kicked backwards like we did against Essendon, like we did against the Giants as well. It was a well-measured performance, and when you have that dash off half-back to kind of take the game on, and he wasn't afraid to take the game on, that provides you with, their defenders not already set up, or their whole team down in defence not already set up. He can kick 50, 60 metres, it's popping up, and then, it gives you a better chance to score than chipping it around and that slow stop-start football that Hawthorn like to do, that we did last week, that we weren't doing on Friday night, which is just good to see that we actually do have a plan B. The game was won with a plan B. Amazing, amazing, amazing. It was also nice to see the younger brigade really taking the game on. Quaynor to Will Kelly, Maynard was doing it as well. Callum Brown was getting in and under. Even Will's had a good game. So, it's like we don't need the side bottoms. We don't need the DeGoes. Even, like I said, Pendlebury and Grundy didn't have their best, most prominent games. Yet we still won by a good margin. Our defense was still sound. And that's, I think the game was won it was also at the selection table. It was a big call bringing in 3 new faces. I kind of count Quaynor as a new face because he hasn't played, this season. Kelly at 2 as well, and obviously Quaynor. Huge call by the coaching staff, and I think that's exactly where it paid off for us. Sometimes you've got to risk it for the biscuit, and they got the biscuits in the end. So I think all in all, our season is back on track. It was looking very grim. If we had lost this game, and a lot of people thought we were going to lose this game, it would have been all over for us. I wouldn't have seen us bouncing back and, going on to try and win a premiership. But those 3 inclusions, unfortunately Will Kelly won't be playing with us for the rest of the season, but they injected a whole new life into us, and that's exactly what it's about. It's about injecting the youth, injecting that life, and it's just boosted us forward. We take on Geelong up in Perth. That's going to be an insane game. Geelong coming off that good win. They're a good side. Hopefully we can do what we did to them in the final last year and just absolutely roll them. I think we're a better side than them. But now it's like, who comes in for Will Kelly? You see DeGoey come in. Sire had a good game in the twos. Does he come in? And there might be a little bit more tweaks in that selection table against the good Geelong side. That's just going to propel us for this next phase of pub life in Perth. Geelong, West Coast and Fremantle. It's going to be a testing 3 weeks. But if we come out of this 3-0 or 2-1, win-loss, I think that's going to be very good for us. And I do feel like we've kind of got our mojo back. Steel Sidebottom comes in 3 or so weeks' time to go in next week. It wasn't a good time to be a Collingwood supporter this week, let me tell you. But now it's feeling a little bit more positive. And, reviews or supporting, it ebbs and flows with the team. You feel the losses, you're there for the wins, and obviously it's easier to look out at the positives when you do win and the negatives when you do lose. But it does feel good. It felt that first half, especially that first quarter, was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch, very exciting to watch. Last week I said we were playing super boring football. we didn't show any signs of that. You know, sure, we only scored 3 goals after quarter time, but it was still good to watch, especially that defense. And, you know, I guess the only way is up from here. So let's see what we bring against the Cats next week. Anyway, Swoopers, that's been my review. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. But in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.